Alright, hello, welcome back to the walkthrough. So for this episode we're going to be going through Mohgwyn's palace, and as I said not too long ago, there are two ways to get there. One is through the Waygate in Consecrated Snowfield, which is right about here. And then the other way is by teleporting there with the Pureblood Knight's Medal, which takes you to the Dynasty Mausoleum entrance. I'll show you, it's all the way down here. So if you go through that Waygate in Consecrated Snowfields, you'll go through a cave and you'll end up here at the Palace Approach Ledge Road. Otherwise, you teleport straight here. If you followed the guide up to this point, I already brought that medal up several times, and you almost certainly not only have it, but have also warped to this location and picked up the map for this area to bring to Gideon earlier in the game. However, if it did take you until Consecrated Snowfields to discover this place, you will not have the map yet, so I'll start by showing you how to get it just in case. I'm not going to run all the way over there in Consecrated Snowfields, so once again, just go over here on your own and go through the Waygate and then the cave, and you will pop out here at this grace, like I just said, so we'll go from there. So mount up toward and run down the slope here. Grab the items on the way. We got a golden rune 11. Blood rose, and I just missed something as well here. Spinning stone 6. And then you can pretty much just hug this right wall here to avoid most of the enemies. You'd go left too, but you're going to run into more trouble. This is only adding all of maybe 10 seconds to the route, so not too bad. And then you'll eventually get to this wooded area with these giant skeletons, which means we are close. See these ruins up ahead? Go up these stairs, it's going to kick you off of Torrent here. This corpse right here, right in the middle of the floor, will have the map for this area, and then up the next set of stairs you will find that other grace. And this is where we will start. So if you check the map, this whole like blood lake thing is split into a pretty clear north and south section. The southern area is full of invaders and those giant crow things from Caelid. Very bad. The north is also full of fairly obnoxious enemies, but it's a lot more manageable in my opinion, because we can kind of just sneak through all of it. So we will start by clearing that. And the reason we're going from this grace instead of the other one is just because these first few enemies will have their back turned to us if we approach from this side. Now also, if you have not been here before, there'll probably be a few like ghost gloveworts scattered around here, which you are welcome to go grab. But we're going to sneak up here near this tree stump. And these guys are like summoners. There's a few here in this immediate area, and when we attack them, they're going to summon one of those giant phantom skeletons. And these skeletons will... It's kind of weird. So I can't figure out exactly how it works. I'm like 75% sure if the skeleton hits the summoner, then the skeleton just dies. I tried to test whether it was like a damage threshold on the summoner that makes the skeleton despawn, or what was going on, but it was too hard to control the variables because the skeleton just hits this guy so easily, and it does do just that pretty much almost immediately every time. So if that's the case, I'm right. Cool, I guess. There it seems like it was maybe just a damage threshold because the thing despawned immediately. I also think maybe it's just a matter of like knocking them down, which a backstab technically does. I don't know, but if you can, if the skeleton is still there and it's nearby, just try to get him to hit the summoner himself, and the skeleton should pretty much despawn himself, leaving you with just this guy to deal with, which is not too bad. Anyway, if you're facing where that skeleton just spawned, look over to the right. There's a couple of corpses here. Got a butterfly, or 3. Sacramental Bud, and then you can backstab this guy. The skeleton's gonna pop up to your right and seems to be gone already. Honestly, they don't usually disappear that quickly for me. I don't know. It's gonna be a little hit or miss, I suppose, but like I said, if the skeleton doesn't just disappear right away, just get it to hit this guy and it should kill itself, essentially. Backstab this guy, his skeleton's gonna spawn way over there, and it's gone. Now, from here, we will go... Oh, actually, I think I missed the golden rune over here. Yeah, in this bush right in front of where that second guy was. And over here, we'll go back into this little corner here. Get a rune arc, and then circle around this big white tree to our left. Should come up on the last guy. And the skeleton will spawn right behind you, but I'm guessing for me, it's going to disappear right away. Alright. Then we can loot these corpses in front of him for smithing stone 7, golden rune 12, and then if you look to the left, kind of behind this tree stump, I guess, there's a cave over here. So we are going to run over there, and there's going to be some sleeping enemies in here, so you can just crouch and grab the loot without alerting any of them if you want. Smithing stone 6. Golden rune 13. And then when you go back outside here to the left, you're going to see this big tree in front of us, and there's just a pack of these guys patrolling around it. That item right there in front of us is a drawstring blood grease, so not going to bother potentially engaging all those guys for that. We'll instead just keep following this left wall, get a ghost glove or 8, a couple more sleeping guys we can sneak past. Get the swarm of flies incantation, and then when we come out here, there's going to be another item on this other side of the base of the tree. That is blood-tinged excrement, I believe it's called. Even less worth the effort, I think. But if you keep circling, there's a purple item over here, which is a Hero's Rune 3, which I feel like is probably worth getting. Now you can just kind of sneak in here. If you're crouched, these guys just do not see you from very far away. Or, did I say that right? They can't, they have a hard time seeing you. You have to get pretty close, is what I'm trying to say. So you can just sneak in here, time it with the patrol, follow them around, probably do that exact same thing if you want to get all of the items, but that's the only one I think is really worth risking anything for. That one right there is a... Wait, hold on. First we'll go for this one. This should be a smithing stone 8. It's going to trigger an ambush, but if you're crouched, they're going to pop out but not actually see you and attack you. But yeah, this one over here on the shore, guarded by these two guys, is more blood-tainted excrement, so you can sneak in and grab that, or any of these items like I was saying, but I just don't think it's really worth the effort. Anyway, now we'll go east to this next big tree over here, still crouched. Sneak in here, get the Hero's Rune 4. That guy doesn't notice, this guy doesn't notice, and we're going to sneak behind this tree. That guy still somehow doesn't see us, so like I've been saying, it's pretty easy to sneak around here and not be noticed. Try to get this guy without immediately waking up these other guys. And hopefully these are the first ones that you've actually angered. And you can see they have a pretty nasty attack where they grow these spikes and just roll at you. Can do a lot of damage and build up bleed really fast, so be very careful of that. But we get the Blood Tax Ash of War from that Teardrop Scarab and a Somber Smithing Stone 9, which is pretty nice. And let's see, next we'll exit the cave, and no, this is the slope we came down actually, so we already grabbed the items over there. If you didn't come from this side like I did, and just start over here, then you can just run up that slope and grab the items in the reverse order. They're all just in the open on that hill, so you should see them no problem. And now we can go tackle the south half of this lake. That's pretty much it for over here. Unless you want to grab some more of those items and cause a scene with all these guys around the swamp. But you can keep hugging this left wall to get over to the section right here with it's our path into the southern area. Or you can go back to the mausoleum entrance, Grace, and just follow the cliff to the right. Just stay sneaking all the way around here, and you should be able to sneak around here without alerting anything that way as well, if you do need to go back and rest and everything. Otherwise, here is how this area works. It's full of giant crows, dogs, and geysers that will damage you if you're standing in them. Meanwhile, nameless white masks will invade you at 3 separate locations in this small area, so it's very important to not aggro the dogs or the crows while the invaders are in your world, because that's gonna basically everything around here builds up bleed, and the invader is gonna be enough of a handful on their own. But the other thing to keep in mind is you want to take it slow like I do, because they won't invade you instantly once you get to the threshold that triggers when they're supposed to invade, which means you might be sitting for a few seconds, think it's safe, alert an enemy, and then get invaded, and now you have a problem on your hands. I'm going to show you how I would go about clearing this whole area and the timing for all this stuff so that you don't get overwhelmed by enemies, but there's also an alternative method if you're just here for the white mask stuff that this invader gives you, which I'll show afterwards, after we clear everything. Also, one other note, if you want, you could take the beast repellent torch here to just deal with the dogs. I'm fairly certain it doesn't work on these giant crows, which is the much bigger problem, but we should also be able to sneak past pretty much all the dogs as well. But anyway, for this first invasion, just cross over here, and we're just gonna sit tight for a couple seconds between this rock and this cliff face, and you should see the invader pop up behind you. Now all their attacks inflict bleed, they attack super fast with a dagger, and they can also use the Swarm of Flies incantation. So just take it nice and slow. Don't let yourself get hit too many times. And that's going to be 1 down. Come over here, grab these clarifying boluses, and then we can just keep hugging this left wall here towards this rock with the golden tree on it. And you should be able to make a running jump from the high point of this mound here up to this rock. And then crouch, because there's going to be some dogs up here just past these bushes. And then we just sit here for a second right down here by this geyser. You should get invaded here in a few seconds. You can jump up here, so instead of risking aggroing the dogs, I like to just come back down here to fight him. That's 2 down. And then now we can go up here, crouch, and you should be able to hop up here too and sneak past the dogs pretty easily. Grab a golden seed, and then we will hop down right across over here. Stick to the left to avoid getting the attention of that crow. And then if you want to play it really safe, you can sit here and wait for him to wander all the way back here and then turn his back again before you go for the loot. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure if you hang out here while crouched, grab the Nomadic Warriors Cookbook 24, he shouldn't see you, I don't believe. If I'm wrong, we're in trouble. No, he turned around, we're good. So now we can come over here, grab the Ghost Glove War 8. That item's straight ahead on the tree that we have to get quite a bit closer to him to actually get. Is just 3 rot grease, so I'm not going to bother with that personally, but it's there if you want it. And just sneak behind here so you're out of line of sight of the crow. Grab those blood roses and you will get invaded for the 3rd and final time here. There's that Swarm of Flies incantation. Let it get close to you, and then it'll expand and stop tracking you. Oh no. That's what I'm saying, you gotta be careful, because he can build up blood loss and a whole lot of damage super fast. There we go. And he is going to drop us the White Mask and the War Surgeon set when we kill him. If for whatever reason you wanted to come here early for this set in the future, this one in particular, this third invader, drops the armor set guaranteed. You don't have to kill the other two first. And you might want to do that because the White Mask itself, I mean, maybe you just want the whole armor set for like fashion purposes, but the White Mask itself has that effect where if blood loss occurs in the vicinity, you get a little bit of an attack power buff. So you can stack that with other similar items, and a lot of people like to have that on their bleed builds, which is, I think, safe to say the most popular type of build in this game since it's so strong. So yeah, might want that in the future. And like I said, I will show you in just a second here, once we get the last of this loot, how to just run through here and grab that specifically, if that's all you're looking for in this area and you want to grab it early in the game. But keep sneaking ahead, sticking to the left here. There's going to be an item ahead in the clearing, and if we come over here, this crow will hop down and land on it once we get close, but then he should just walk away. Well, he usually lands on the item. That's fine though, that works for me. Grab the stone sword key. He always ends up walking back in that corner for whatever reason, so wherever he lands, he should still get away from the items you need. Hallowed Drake Talisman +2, and finally here, a Ghost Glovewort 9. That's pretty much it for the big items here. Anything else is going to be hard to get without fighting a crow, and if you haven't hit one yet, you will be horrified to find out they have like 11,000 health. That one right there is pecking at a corpse with some holy grease. Just forget you saw anything, man. I think we're in the clear. And then if you keep going up here, this little alleyway back here, there are 4 dogs guarding some Arteria leaves, which, up to you whether or not you want to mess with this, but you can kind of sneak back here and fight them more or less one at a time, so it's not too bad in my opinion. There you go, 4 Arteria leaves. And if you keep circling around here to the left, we'll be right back by the entrance where we started. Right behind that rock dead ahead is where we first got invaded. Now this crow is guarding a Golden Rune 13, Smithing Stone 6. This is the last thing we're going to grab here, so I'm just going to run in and grab it on Torrent since we can run away afterwards. And we're going to go back to the Dynasty Mausoleum entrance, but before I do that, let me show you that other route I was talking about. See if I can warp away here. Oh, he is coming all the way for me, alright. Trying to stay crouched so that all the other guys don't attack me. Alright, we'll just mount up Tor and run all the way home. I think we can warp now. Yes, alright, so if you wanted to come here early, you would still, if we're talking early game, you're gonna get here through the Pure Blood Knights medal for sure, because to get to this grace first, you would have to get all the way to Consecrated Snowfields, which is anything but early in the game, but still you want to make your way from this grace, I suppose, over to that slope that is at the bottom of this hill, so I guess you wouldn't technically approach from this direction, but you still, this is where you're gonna end up. And at the bottom of this hill, right at the edge of the blood swamp, you can duck into here, and there's this little tunnel here. And at the end of it, you can drop down, and this will put you right where this crow that we snuck past was. Cookbook was straight ahead over there, and of course just past that crow is where you'd get invaded by that third White Mask, but like I said, they're unique, and if you just go straight for that one, that's the one that always drops the armor for you. So even if you were to kill that one first, you're not going to get the armor from any of the other ones. So that's how you'd get the White Mask early if you wanted it. But with that, let's go back to Dynasty Mausoleum entrance and get on with this. start heading up these stairs, and like 90% of these putrid corpses here aren't gonna bother attacking you. A few of them will run at you and explode, leaving behind a cloud that inflicts blood loss, so just be careful of that. Keep moving, grab the items on the way. Got a smithing stone 7 there. Off to the left. I missed it. It's alright. The loss isn't so bad when you're not also getting assaulted by a weapon in the meantime. The Newman's rune. And keep going up a bit until you see the slime thing that's under my bed. Hop over these tombstones to the left. You can sneak around behind it. Get some staunching boluses. Duck off to the right here. Stone sword key. Then back on this main path. Also roll through these guys to get them out of your way if you're stuck. Just before the entrance, we have some blood roses, 8 of them. And then we can go inside. Might want to pop on a lantern here. And there's going to be a lot of sanguine nobles in here, which are kind of obnoxious to fight. But as soon as you step inside this temple here, you're under the protection of a stake of America. So if you die now, you'll be okay. You're not really going to go too far back. Don't have to run through all those enemies again. Here's the first one. So all of his attacks are going to build up blood loss. He's got these throwing attacks. He can also like lunge at you from super far away. And when he stands, not in that guard stance, but where he's like crossing his sword and his dagger, he's going to try to parry you, so be careful. You can also make a big like pool of blood loss soup on the ground. There's that big lunge I was talking about. So yeah, just be patient when you're fighting those guys so you don't get hemorrhaged to death. And then right behind where he spawned, there's going to be a merchant. Doesn't have anything super notable, but a couple of valuable items you can buy if you'd like. Some extra rune arcs, never hurt anyone. Stone sword keys if you want. I'll just take those for the hell of it, I suppose. For the DLC, why not? And then you turn around here, there's going to be another sanguine noble. Probably went down a lot easier. And then in this next room, legendary item here. Lord's Rune will go down to the right after you get that. Jump in this pit. None of these corpses will explode, so they're pretty harmless. Golden Centipede, Great Ghost Glovewort. And then go back up here. And this back corner, southwest, at some point you're gonna get attacked by another Sanguine Noble. Comes from behind you, of course. Coward. Oh, there's the parry. Probably going to kill me? No, not quite. Ah, that sucks. It's so dark in here. I honestly can't remember if these guys respawn or not. Guess we'll find out in a second. If they're being annoying and just holding that parry stance, you can hit him with jumping attacks too, safely. I don't know what Ash of War you have. Maybe it's parryable, maybe it's not, but you'll have to figure it out for yourself. I just forgot I just ran past that second one too. There might be one on our tail. Ow. Yeah, if you let them get away from you, they're pretty obnoxious. There you go, so you can't parry that one. Get some smithing stone 8s back here in the corner, and then we'll go up this next set of stairs. This stuff is nasty. Another one pops up behind you. Alright, I will come to you. Maybe jump attack spam is just the answer like it always is. Alright, so then we got a Ghost Glove War at 9. And keep going up here outside and we'll get a Grace. Go ahead and rest up. And then we just walked past a red sign here as well, which you can use to invade White Mask Vari's world, which we're going to do. If you haven't done much invading, be aware that when you die as an invader, you do drop your souls wherever you died in the world that you invaded. So, or at least you do here. So, he spawns like directly below us. You can see him down there. Since those Sanguine Nobles do respawn, I would kind of recommend luring him up here so you don't have to like climb down to the bottom of that pit to get your runes if you do die. He's pretty similar to the White Mask guys we fought before, but he's got this bouquet weapon, which is a lot slower than the daggers and just not as dangerous in my opinion. Has that Swarm Flies incantation as well, but then he also has some pyromancies. The only one's coming to mind off the top of my head is that, like, Great Combustion one. That's not what it's called in this game. But the one where he just splashes a little fire right in front of him point blank. He might have something else, but I just can't remember. Take him out and you'll find him bleeding out on the ground here when you get back. Exhaust his dialogue. And you will get some Festering Bloody Fingers and his weapon, Vari's Bouquet. And that is his questline done. Now go ahead and rest up here. And I guess real quick before we do this, there's like one more encounter before the boss fight, which is kind of annoying. There's not really any way to avoid angering all these guys, so it's probably best to just run through here, grab the items, and potentially die. Somber Ancient Dragon Smithing Stone, and behind the statue, Golden Rune 13. And we got out without a scratch, so let's go back and reset them at the Grace. If you have nice, like, huge AoE Ash of War or spell or something, then maybe you could take them all out, but I just do not have the build for that encounter right there. So I'm going to ignore it. Alright, so now, rest and make any preparations you need for the boss fight. Most importantly, mix Wondrous Physic, and you want to throw in the Purifying Crystal Tear. This is going to be the best method for surviving Mohg's special attack. We got it from defeating Bloody Finger Eleonora in Altus Plateau during Yura's questline a while back. I'll show you where that is on the map here in 2 seconds. I guess I should just throw on some other tier for the hell of it. Go with the bubble, why not? Classic. So yeah, at the Second Church of America over here in Altus Plateau, you'll find an invader named Eleonora, and killing her will get you that crystal tier. Now, you can heal through the special attack, but it's definitely not recommended because it is going to do insane amounts of damage to you. And I mean, this is just the better way to do it. This is the intended way to do it. If you really don't want to get that for whatever reason, like I said, it's possible to just spam heal through, but it's not easy, and you're going to waste a whole lot of flasks, which is not good because this boss has quite a bit of health, not an insane amount, but he also heals a ton in the fight, so it feels like a huge health bar. Let's, well, just go stand in front of the... I can't mount Torrent. Go stand in front of the boss fight, and I'll explain it to you. So to get to it, just run over here and up the elevator. And you can also just feel free to drink your flask, like, right before you go through the boss door. Should last you through the fight, and it'll save you time later so you don't have to, like, find it right before the phase change happens. If whatever other tier you have mixed in there is something that you want to, like, save for the second phase, then go ahead and use it at whatever time is most convenient for you. But if you don't care what's in it and you're just drinking it to counter the special attack in this fight, then you can just drink it before you go in. I think that's the easiest way to do it. And also, before I forget, throw Mohg's Shackle on your hotbar.
Same thing as with the Margit Shackle, you can use it twice, and you have to use it during phase 1. So get both of those stuns in with it before he gets to around half health to get the most use out of it. Anyways, his first phase is pretty manageable, very, very similar, if not pretty much identical to Mohg the Omen, who we fought at the end of last episode, at the end of Subterranean Shunning Grounds. And it's a great opportunity to familiarize yourself with most of his moveset while the fight is slower and you're not being pressured by environmental damage. It's going to get a lot more chaotic in phase 2. So he's going to swing his trident with his right hand, and you want to start watching his left hand when he casts blood magic so you can see all the tells to know how to avoid his next attack. Just like the last Mohg fight, he's got a few variations of this blood boon attack. If you're close to him and he reaches up in the air and just pulls his hand straight down, it's going to be that rain of blood that we saw before, and you just need to move away from him. When he makes a vertical throwing motion, like he's throwing a baseball, you know he's going to send out more of a projectile at you, which you can dodge to either side. And when he makes a horizontal sweeping movement, he's going to send out a wave of blood, just a big wide splash, and you want to roll straight forward through it to avoid it. If you stay close to him, you can roll forward through pretty much all of his melee swings, which will come in 2 to 3 hit combos. Sometimes he ends the combo by slamming his trident into the ground, which is a good opportunity to counterattack. The main danger, I would say, when he's swinging his trident is actually his offhand. I say that, as I mentioned when we fought his other version last episode, I for some reason just like suck at dodging his normal attacks, but objectively I don't think they're really hard. I think maybe I just suck, but maybe that's not just me. But he makes that move where he throws like a glowing claw mark in the air that lingers there and then explodes after a short delay. The claw itself does no damage, so you want to roll when it explodes, not when he actually does the claw animation. The tricky part is that claw attack matches up with the timing of his melee swings, and it looks like a melee swing, and if you accidentally roll through it, the explosion is going to roll catch you, which is designed to do that. So, got to be kind of heads up there, and it just takes some practice. And I'm going to be honest, I'll probably not do it successfully the entirety of this fight, because that's just me. He has one other normal melee attack where he stabs his trident into the ground, then causes another like mini AoE when he pulls it back out. That will be much more dangerous in phase 2, so get into a habit of rolling behind him and getting some distance when he uses that attack, because even if it doesn't hurt too much in phase 1, it's going to be pretty big explosion in phase 2. Now, while you're fighting him, he's going to start counting down from 3 in another language, but you should be able to tell what the numbers are. Each time, putting a red ring around your character when he counts, when he says the number, and when he does it, he'll also raise his trident in the air and then swipe it in front of him, whether you're standing there or not. This means that you can safely get in a heal or some free damage if you're behind him while he's counting. Got to kind of get lucky for that to happen, but just something to be aware of. That's his blood curse. Now after he gets to 1, it counts down to 1, and then transitions to his second phase, he's going to raise his trident and chant nil 3 times, each time inflicting you with blood loss and siphoning that health that you lose to heal himself. That's where the purifying crystal tear comes in that we have in our flask. Each time he chants nil, you'll only take a small amount of damage rather than a full hemorrhage. He will, however, still heal a ton from this process, so you want to make sure to get in as much damage on him as possible to offset it while he's doing it, because he's going to be locked in like this chanting animation while he's doing it. You won't be able to offset all of the damage probably unless you just have an insane build, and it's also a really good time to build up status effects if that's what your build revolves around. Like I said, it's possible to out-heal the bleed effect, but not recommended. And the fight, since he heals so much from that special attack, is going to be pretty long. It's going to feel like he has like 2 health bars basically because he heals up from it so much. So blowing through all of your healing flasks to get around not using the purifying crystal tear, just not a great idea in my opinion. Now in phase 2, there are a few new attacks, pretty much all of which are going to leave pools of blood flame on the ground, which do a little bit of damage and also build up bleed, which is what I was referring to when I said phase 1 was a good opportunity to get used to his moveset without the added pressure of where you're walking. First of all, his normal trident melee combos will leave behind blood flame, which sucks. The big new move is a flying attack, where he flies up, does his horizontal splash of blood flame, and then swoops down. You can dodge forward to avoid both of those attacks.
And then next, that ground impale I mentioned before, again, will now create an explosion, so watch out for that. That's like after he stabs his trident into the ground, pulls it out, that's when the explosion comes. And he also has a move where he does like a big uppercut, which sends out blood flame, and then slams the ground, releases an explosion with that. He has a like charging thrust attack that he can follow up by spinning the trident and inflicting bleed. You can roll the side since it's essentially just a really fancy thrust attack. Don't overthink it. If you're fighting melee, highly recommend staying as close as possible to him, since every attack he has is going to cover that medium range area with blood flame. And he's pretty big, has a large trident, so it can reach pretty far too. So it's just kind of dangerous to be like in that 15 to 20 feet range away from him, I feel like. If you're playing with a range build, caster build, just be mindful of how far he can reach with his attacks, and don't commit to super long animations unless you know for sure that he's not about to fly, because he does like to do that flying swoop down move if you're far away. Just either way, be very careful of the blood flame on the ground. Don't get greedy with healing. He can chain together multiple combos pretty quickly, and most of the attacks will probably stagger you, so you don't get too many opportunities to heal. You're basically going to be running around with low health and on the brink of bleeding again for most of the fight, which is very stressful. But just try to be patient and calm. Over-explain that probably, considering we basically just fought him in the last episode, but you do need to kill this guy to get into the DLC now that that's out. I know lots of people have a tough time with this boss, so figured might as well say too much rather than not enough. I'm going to skip this cutscene, drink my flask, and let's get to it. There's 3. Got hit by the roll catch, of course. There's my second and last stun. Hopefully I can get a stagger on him here soon. Pulls that out, little damage there. Got a bleed. There he's at 2. Oh, that's not a heal. I suck. Alright. Still had Mohg Shackle out. Unfortunate. I can't believe I didn't get a stance break there, honestly. You see, like, you get him down to half pretty quickly, but then he's gonna heal up as soon as he goes to that phase transition. So then you basically have to do, like, I don't know, depending on how much damage you can get in, probably looking at 3/4, maybe 2/3 of a health bar. All of which is going to be with this phase 2 moveset. There we go. Fall for it every time. I told you I would. Well, back away from me. There's that rain. Got hemorrhaged. I'm gonna heal up and he's gonna go in the Chan now, and you'll see we take very little damage. It just starts cracking this bubble around us, and you just want to lay into him here. Try to get him as low as possible to offset all that healing. Ow. As that splash swoops down. Now we've just got fire all over the ground to deal with the rest of this fight. Damn.
Damn, unfortunate. I told you, dude, I suck at this fight. It's like... It's so... It's just Trident, that's the problem. It's not even like the complicated stuff I'm bad at. It's his most basic melee attacks. They're just my kryptonite, and I don't understand why. It's probably just because they hit so hard when they do land, and then I try to get some space to heal, which is a bad idea. You're always just safest trying to stay close and behind him, but it's hard to do sometimes. Very nice. And just keep going there. Once you get him to about half, you know he's going to go into phase 2. So if he hasn't counted to 1 yet, then you're pretty safe to just keep attacking because he's basically forced to count to 1 so he can get to that chant. If you need to, just pull him away from all the fire too. He can get over to you quickly. Explosion coming after that, so time your roll if he does catch you with the impale. Too much fire, I'm taking him over here. Doing the rain again. Now I'm kind of in a corner, which is not good. About to get hemorrhage as well. Damn fire everywhere, man. That's probably going to be the rain, so I'm going to take him out of there. Take my own advice for once and roll the side on that finally. Get a little aggressive and just finish it out there. So you get a little dialogue there at the end. You get Mohg's Great Rune and the Remembrance of the Bloodlord. You can trade the Remembrance for his trident called Mohgwyn's Sacred Spear, or the incantation Blood Boon. You can also purchase his robes from Enya now if you want. Don't forget to grab this Grace and Rest here. And once you do, now that the DLC is out, you can talk to this NPC and interact with this cocoon to get into the DLC. I am going to be saving that until we beat the base game. We're so close to the end of the game, you're not going to get too much stronger between now and then, but this is just, I'm just sticking to the plan I had, so not going to overcomplicate things. Now, The other thing we can do is activate Mohg's Great Rune. So warp to the Divine Tower of East Altus here. Kind of next to the picture of the Erd Tree on the map. Same place that we activated Morgoth's Great Rune. And just walk over to the fingers and interact to activate that. Mohg's Great Rune continues our trend of each Great Rune being more disappointing and underwhelming than the last. This one grants you something called the Blessing of Blood. Or sorry, it doesn't grant you the Blessing of Blood. Grants the Blessing of Blood to the Spirit Ashes that you summon if you're in your own world, or if you're PvPing and you invade another world, you get 3 Phantom Great Runes that you can consume to bless any enemies in your vicinity with the Blessing of Blood. Each time something that has that blessing gets a kill, you get healed by 10% of your max HP. Also, if anything gets inflicted with blood loss, any nearby blessed thing gets a temporary damage buff. There's no way for you to give yourself the blessing, or any other players the blessing, which might have made this actually useful. Also, be aware that you have to pop a rune arc before you invade for this to work, which is especially confusing since other great runes have no effect when you're invading. The place that this really shines, in my opinion, is if you summon a Mimic tier and equip it with the Lord of Blood's Exaltation, which gives you a 20% damage buff whenever bleeding occurs nearby, aka the same effects. You could also throw on White Mask to your Mimic tier to stack that even further. So all those things stacked together would drastically buff the Mimic tier's damage when blood loss happens. I feel like the fact that this rune still kind of sucks, even in a perfect world where the Mimic tier is already OP before even being able to double the effect of the buff, and the vast majority of PvP builds are in fact bleed builds, I feel like that's kind of insane. Like, the environment could not be more perfect for this thing to shine, and I feel like it's still just not really worth using over some of the other great runes. I don't get it. Maybe if you're really big into PvP, but it just seems like a hassle. I love this game, but I just feel like the great runes are so underdeveloped, and it's really sad, especially considering how cool it is to climb to the tops of these towers to activate them after really cool boss fights. But anyway, last thing before we go on and do some good content that I don't have to complain about, we killed Mohg, so let's go to Roundtable Hold and talk to Gideon. About the Lord of Blood's cocoon. Exhaust his dialogue here, and you'll get the Law of Causality incantation, and you can choose that option one more time to get a few more lines of dialogue. And that is going to do it for this episode. So next time we'll do Mikla's Halig Tree, after that Crumbling Farah Missoula, and then the next episode after that we should be finishing up the game. So not too much left to go. Hopefully this episode helped you, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good one.